Hello and welcome to the final week of our baby bottle benefit campaign. Thank you to everyone who has joined us over the last 4 weeks. A lot of you are familiar with our parenting and pregnancy services, but you might not be as familiar with our Redemption Ministry, which is an abortion healing Bible study that we offer to women who are dealing with unresolved grief and pain because of a past abortion. It's a very important side of our ministry. A lot of people don't know about it, so we want to take a few minutes today and highlight it as a journey, as the beginning of a journey, as the conclusion of a journey, but as part of the journey of what we want to provide women who are dealing with just unresolved pain. So today, joining me is our nurse manager, Mary Austin. Mary, you've been involved with the Door of Hope for a number of years now, but your journey with pregnancy centers started before now. So can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yes, so I started about 11 years ago. I've been doing ultrasounds for 11 years. I can say that my story, my personal story, is what brought me to the pregnancy centers. I, as a teenager, chose abortion. And of course, the journey to trying to heal myself from that has been a long journey. But I can honestly say that by the grace of God, I've been able to use my choices from my past to help other women, to bring about almost like a mission of my own that God has chosen me to do, to help other women see that there is forgiveness, that there's healing, that you can take the choices that you made in your past and you can make something really wonderful out of it. So that's kind of where my journey started, and like I said, I've been doing ultrasounds for 11 years, 6 with a Door of Hope and 5 with CareNet out in Arizona.
That's wonderful, and I think that your example and your willingness to step out allows so many women to realize that this does not have to be a taboo topic. It doesn't have to be something that they carry for a long time. And I remember something you said at one point, which was you moved on from your experience, but you didn't. It wasn't until later that you realized that healing still needed to occur. So can you share a little bit about what you were experiencing that made you realize you needed to go a little deeper?
I can honestly say that I'm not sure if you ever really move on, but how you perceive the choices you made in your past changes. And then for me, it was becoming a Christian. So when I first became a Christian, I was 24. So I made those choices before I had children, before I got married, when I was young. So there was, some pain through those years. But when I became a Christian is when it really started changing how I perceived myself and how I perceived other people that were involved in my choices, because it's not always just one person involved in that choice. Christ truly, with baby steps, grew me. From the day I became a Christian, that was the day where I felt like, wow, like I'm forgiven. Yes. Holy cow, I can't believe I can be forgiven for such a thing. But then God took me little baby steps through raising my children, through getting involved in church, through then eventually going to nursing school, and then he brought me to the ministry of doing ultrasounds through CareNet. So it was kind of like he took me baby steps, because I had to grow as a Christian. I had to be confident in myself as a Christian, confident in my beliefs, confident in the fact that I am forgiven, and I don't have to hold this over myself for the rest of my life. So I do believe that, God has just taken me baby step by baby step, and he's done amazing things. I feel through me, but yet I always know that it's because of him.
Yeah, absolutely. So before you began taking some of those baby steps and before he started leading you, what were some of the emotions you felt before that?
A lot of shame. There's a lot of shame with abortion, and as women, I haven't met a woman who hasn't felt shameful, and I've ultrasounded, I don't even know how many, thousands of women who have had abortions in the past. And I don't think people understand the shame that comes along with it, because we're meant to be moms. That's like God made us to carry babies. And then we choose to end a pregnancy. Well, then now we have this shame of that choice. And there's always this, it's women's rights, women's choices, but yet the end is then people just, forget that you made that choice and they expect you just to move on. And so there's a lot of pain, a lot of regrets, there's a lot of shame, and then it gets even more difficult when you become a Christian, I feel, because then you enter church meetings and, sermons that may be surrounded, or the topic might be abortion, or from the pulpit, and then those women are kind of demonized for the choices that they've made. So I feel like there's a lot of hurt and pain that you have to move through, and you have to be willing to work through it to get to the other side, because there is healing on the other side.
Yes. So you touched on it a little bit, but I'm going to ask you to go a little deeper. What do you think is the greatest barrier or challenge to women finding hope and healing?
Shame, guilt, a lot of, I'm not even sure how I would describe it, but feeling like people just don't understand. Like people don't understand, or they put judgments upon you. They don't know your circumstances. They don't know who else was involved. It's never really the woman's 100% their choice. There's always more people involved than that woman. So I do feel like shame and guilt are what keep women from healing. Feeling like they don't deserve to be healed. Feeling like they deserve to be punished for the rest of their lives.
So if a church hired you as a consultant and said, help us understand how we can help women who are making a tough choice, or how we can help a woman who is dealing with grief and shame, what would your response be?
I would honestly, I don't want to say abortion shouldn't, it is definitely wrong. I totally believe that now. But the women that make those choices are human beings, and they deserve forgiveness, and they deserve the help, just like anybody else who's struggling with something in their lives, whether it's addiction, whether it's pornography, whether it's adultery, whatever it is. These women should not be set apart. They should be brought into a community, loved and cared for, not made to feel like they're the worst person on the planet.
Absolutely. And then if you met a woman tomorrow who was dealing with trauma from a past abortion, what is the first thing you would want to say to her?
I've met a few women. I would have to say seek help, because you need it not just for your heart, but for your psyche. You need help. And I always talk about Jesus to people, so they're just going to have to hear that side of my story. But I truly believe that you cannot heal through this without Christ. There may be some that can push it down, try to forget it, try to pretend like it never happened, but it's always going to be there in the back of your mind. Even when you're forgiven, even when you move on, even when you're healed, it's still always there. It never goes away. It is a loss. You may have chose that loss, but it's still a loss. So for women that I meet, women in the clinic, people at work, churches who have heard my story, or teenagers. I used to minister to teenagers a lot in my previous churches in Arizona. I would just encourage them to seek Christ and to seek sound counsel to help them move through all the different emotions that you go through. And it's okay to be emotional.
Yes.
There's that also, I can't be sad, I made that choice. I can't be, upset and cry about it. That was a choice I made. It's my fault, it's my this. You just take it all on yourself. But that's what Christ is for. That's what he does. He takes that burden from you.
Excellent. And then you are a champion for hope and healing. So can you tell us what hope means to you?
Well, first of all, I only have hope because of Christ. So each and every day, I try to think about what Christ has brought me through, and then that gives me hope for what he's going to bring me through in the future. So, there's always challenges in life. There's super hard times and there's not so hard times, but I always rely on Christ, because I've seen what he's brought me through. So that gives me hope that he's going to bring me through anything. So for me, it's kind of simple. It's Jesus. I know that sounds cliche.
No, it's not cliche.
But that's just what it is for me. I mean, I literally can see his hand in every single thing in my life. So.
Well, thank you very much, Mary. And A Door of Hope has seen a lot of crazy circumstances and in hopeful and life-giving circumstances. We have seen abundant life come out of difficult circumstances. So if what Mary said to you today resonated, we hope you will help us help these women by donating to the baby bottle benefit. Our goal is $75,000. We can't do it without you. Statistically, 1 in 4 women has had an abortion, and of those women, 1 in 7 attends church on a regular basis. So we recognize that there are a lot of people out there who desire to open up and be vulnerable, just like Mary has been, and find healing and find resolve from that grief. So we would love to offer anyone who's interested can contact A Door of Hope. Find out more. All of your information is kept confidential, but we would love to come alongside of you and walk with you in that journey to healing and in that journey to hope. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you soon.